Midco Sports tonight, we're talking NSIC hoops. The conference tournament starts next week, and David Brown gives us the lowdown on what to expect in this February madness. Then it's an SDSU hoops feature on a senior for the Jacks who seems to be the catalyst in this year's success. Learn all about Reed Tellinghusen. And finally, our own swimming and diving expert Elena Lanson joins me for water cooler talk to drop some knowledge on us from the swim world. All of that, plus much more, Midco Sports Tonight tips off right now. Hello and welcome to the show. Kelly Stewart joined here by David Brown because 9 days from today, single digits. Just nine, single digits. Our coverage of the NSIC tournament starts. The actual tournament starts 6 days from today. But can you believe that? It's tournament time.
It's tournament time. We love it.
This
is our time as well.
It's our Super Bowl pretty much here at Midco SN. But so to go through all the Northern Sun stuff, Dave Brown, our guru, joining me. We've got to lead off the show like that.
But I appreciate that.
Oh, well, it's true, David. But, you know, you always hear coaches say you want to be playing your best basketball come March or the end of the regular season. So starting with the men in the NSIC, which team do you feel like has the most momentum going into this last week of regular season play?
Well, right now it's St. Cloud State, and they've got 9 wins in a row, 8 of those wins by double digits, and the other one was by 9 points, so essentially 9 straight, all by double figures. And this is just a team that grinds. They're barely in the top half of the league in scoring. They're an average team from three-point territory, and they're one of the worst free throw shooting teams in the conference. They're actually 14th out of 16 teams. So why are they winning? Smart, tough basketball. They shoot 50% for the season as a team. That's second in the conference. So they take quality shots. They don't force anything. And they're also second in the NSIC in defense and second in point differential. Plus, they're not a one-trick pony. They have 4 guys averaging double figures in scoring, and 3 of those 4 have won NSIC North Division Player of the Week awards in the past month. Gage Davis, John Avercamp, and Sean Smith. Gage Davis just got it again this week. They're a versatile team that's hitting its stride at the exact right time. They may not be the best team in the league right now, but in my opinion, they're the most dangerous because they found their identity. They haven't really let anyone stop them over the past month and a half. Plus, they have those guys that can average in double figures in scoring. A lot of weapons on St. Cloud State team. Not flashy, but they get it done.
So they play gritty basketball.
Gritty basketball.
Gritty basketball is what you're saying. Well, going into this weekend, I mean, a lot of teams, you want to get a good seed, just get your best chance going into the tournament. So which team do you feel like has the most at stake heading into the weekend?
It's weird to call this team at stake, but it's Augustana. And to be fair to them, when you win a national championship within a graduation window, the judgment is going to be a little bit harsher. They're 2 seasons removed from that national championship, but they still have contributors from that team. Unfortunately, collectively this season, they've just been inconsistent. 14-12 overall, 9-11 in conference play, but they did just lose 2 games at home by a combined 6 points, so those are tough defeats. But here's what's at stake, though. There's a new rule this season. For the first round of the NSIC tournament, they go cross-division, North versus South. The higher seed is not automatically the home team. It's the team with the better record in the conference, regardless of seeding. So right now, the Vikings are the 6th seed in the South Division, which would mean traveling to the 3 seed in the North Division. Might not say that's a long drive for one game, and probably would not be ideal if you're Augustana. But if the Vikings could win maybe one of their final 2 games or both, move up to the 5 seed in the South Division, then they'd more than likely play the 4 seed in the North. That's Bemidji State. The Beavers right now, Kelly, have a worse record, which would mean even though they're the higher seed, the game would be on Augustana's home floor instead of Bemidji State. So think about how huge a difference that is. Traveling 7.5 hours to play 1 game against a team that's better in their gym, or you can stay at home and play statistically a worse team in Sioux Falls. Augustana is going to have a tough task this weekend, but as I said, a lot at state. They're at Winona State. They're at Upper Iowa. That's not easy, but this is the opportunity for the Vikings to stay home, not have to worry about travel, try and make a run. Otherwise, I could easily see them being one and done in the conference tournament, which you would never expect coming from Augustana on the men's side.
Yeah, no kidding. And you know all about the trip to Minot.
Oh, yes. I've made that Minot trip many a time during football season.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, so if they could avoid that, that'd be great. Well, moving to the women's side, playing their best basketball, you talked about St. Cloud State for the men. Who has the most momentum for the women heading into the final week?
It's a broken record each week, but it's MSU Moorhead. It's the team that has yet to lose a game in 2018. The Dragons have now won 15 in a row, 2 tough ones at home to end the regular season coming up on Friday and Saturday with St. Cloud State and Minnesota Duluth. But I actually think that will help the Dragons keep some of that edge going into the conference tournament. Remember, this team was the #1 seed in the NSIC tournament last year, and they got bounced in the second round by Sioux Falls. That game was simply a matchup problem, and I think head coach Carla Nelson and her team will take what happened last year and apply to this year, knowing you can't really take anyone for granted. We're going to hear from Carla later in our show. I think this team is better equipped this season. They're more balanced offensively. They have more players with defined roles. They're not just relying on Drew Sanis and Cassidy Thorson. All in all, the Dragons have everything they want right in front of them. They just have to go and get it. There is more depth on the women's side as a whole. Augustana is obviously very good at nationally ranked Northern State. That provides some heavy competition as well. But the Dragons have already beaten both teams this season already, so there's no external pressure, there's no internal pressure on how good the competition is, because MSU Moorhead has already faced that competition and come out on top. 15 wins in a row, there's nothing really more you can argue with from MSU Moorhead. They're ready this season, and they're going to use last season's disappointment as fuel for this year. Yeah,
a little chip on the shoulder, I guess, for the Dragons, but the final weekend, which team has the most at stake? We talked about, do you want to go to Minot or do you want to stay in Sioux Falls for Augustana? But for the women, who do you think?
For the women, it actually is the University of Sioux Falls. And they've been kind of an interesting group the last month or so. They've lost 5 of 6, but their one win came last Friday here on Midco Sports Network at Augustana, the number 5 team in the country. They held them to just 59 points in an overtime game. This is the top scoring team in the NSIC. Now, granted, USF has played some very tough teams in the last month. They've been on the road at Northern State, on the road at MSU Moorhead, on the road at Wayne State. They've also lost some home games to the University of Marion Minot State. Travis Trapagan is a coach that knows his team's strengths, and right now he understands they just don't have a solidly consistent post player, so they need to rely on their outside shooters and quickness. That can be a hot and cold proposition, and lately it's been cold. When they can lock down on defense, that kind of makes up for some of the shooting deficiencies if it's not their night. So with Concordia St. Paul and Minnesota State coming to town this weekend, a chance to clean some things up, find your identity, and the Cougars need to have a good weekend because, like I mentioned with the Augustana men, they could find themselves having to go on the road. They could go to a Minot State. They could go to a Minnesota Duluth if things don't fall USF's way. So if they take care of business, they'll at least have that home game in the first round. Won't have to leave Sioux Falls for the tournament.
All right. Final weekend, though. I'm so excited.
Exactly.
I mean, obviously for the tournament, but looking to this weekend, what's the game that you are looking forward to the most? I think I know your answer,
yes.
But what is it?
Absolutely. Saturday, February 17th, the last game of the regular season, and it very easily could be a tournament championship preview on the men's side. St. Cloud State at Northern State. Huskies, as I mentioned, currently on the longest winning streak in the NSIC on the men's side, 9 games in a row, and they're the ones who ended Northern State's 18-game winning streak last month in a dominating wire-to-wire finish in St. Cloud. The difference now, the Wolves have Darren Paterka back from his broken hand. He's a key rotation player, did not play in that first matchup at St. Cloud in January. He's slowly gotten back into game shape and starting to contribute. Is that going to make a difference on Saturday? I'm very excited to find out. Again, this is a game that neither of these sides is going to take for granted. It won't really matter much in terms of seeding and positioning, but they very well know they could meet just 10 days later.
That's exciting. And we have a live doubleheader tomorrow.
Absolutely, yes. Last Friday night doubleheader of the season, Concordia St. Paul at Sioux Falls. Women's game at 6, men's game at 8. And then, of course, we ramp up for our coverage of the conference tournament starting Saturday, February 24th. We're going to have every game from the Pentagon.
Sir.
I'm very excited for this.
I'm excited, too. I can't wait. Well, great stuff, David, as usual. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, when we come back, we will toss it up to Fargo. Brian Sean checks in with Bison men's basketball head coach Dave Richmond to talk about the special cause his team is supporting, as well as what to expect from NDSU as the regular season comes to a close. This is Midco Sports Tonight.
Midco Sports Tonight, presented by Avera Orthopedics.